Good morning, everyone. My name is Ken Stevenson, and I'm a member of the board. And I want to welcome you to Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. And on behalf of the board and the program council, you're welcome here, whoever you are, wherever you're from, and wherever you are on life's journey. If you'd like more information about TVUUC, there are cards possibly in the seat back in front of you or in the holders in the pew. And if you drop those in the collection plate, we'll get back to you with more information. Regarding COVID-19, we still remain at the low level according to the CDC, and this means that masks and vaccination are encouraged but not required. And there are no other COVID-related restrictions in place at this time. You can view the full policy on the church website. In particular, everybody knows that there seems to be an upward trend. So in the not too distant future, we may move to medium, and the policy tells us how to behave then. So there's a room designated, the Lizzie Crozier French room, for those who would like to view the service in a space where they prefer to be with other people who are masked. And room A is designated for families with children. Masks are required for all ages over the age of 2. And you can also watch the service online, so hello to people who are online. As we move forward together, please remember that we are each other's keepers. If you or your family are interested in youth religious education, there's a table in the art gallery out here, and you can check in and find out about religious education. Just a couple announcements. After Friday's big event with the Supreme Court, you may recognize that it's time to saddle up again. There are some t-shirts out there that you're welcome to pick up, maybe drop a donation in there for them. And I'm sure you'll be hearing about activities in the near future. The other and more joyful comment is about our Reverend Jametta Alston. Help us celebrate the joy of having Jametta with us for 3 years. There's a reception after the service in the fellowship hall, so please join us to celebrate Jametta's time here and wish her well in the future. Now please silence your telephones and other electronic devices as we enter into worship.
Good morning. As you can see, we're doing things a little bit differently this morning. So at this time, I'd like to talk about our offering for today, which is a Share the Plate offering. What that means is that any contribution that comes in that is not a pledge will be split between our organization today and the general operating fund of TVUUC. Today's organization is Helping Mamas, and in just a few minutes, Melissa's going to come up here and tell you a little bit about what they do. Right now, my job is to kind of tell you how to give. So if you're here in the building right now, in your order of service, it tells all of the ways you can give. You can give through offering plate, you can give in the giving kiosk, you can text give. All of those things. If you're watching online, you can go to the website, tvuuc.org, There's a tab there that says Give, or you can text Give. That number is 73256. Type in TVUUC, and then the amount that you'd like to give. So right now, Melissa's going to come. She's going to spend a couple of minutes telling you why you need to give to this organization. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you guys so much. I was so incredibly nervous because at the last second, our executive director was out of town and asked me if I would speak. And I hadn't heard of your church before, and I have to tell you that you guys are extremely inviting, welcoming, not just your building, but the people, and that is so important. My name is Melissa, and I'm the program director at Helping Mamas, and so on behalf of Tess and I, it's just me and one other lady, we thank you for having us here and for choosing us to be a part of this. I want to thank you on behalf of the case managers that we serve and the 56 agencies that we reach out to, and on behalf of the recipients of the 107,000 diapers we distributed last year. You guys providing this space for us helps us continue our mission, and we firmly believe that when you're helping people, you're providing hope. And that's our mission, connecting mamas needing help to people who are willing to help. We are a baby supply bank, which means we collect all the essential baby items: clothes, potties, blankets, pacifiers, formula, and diapers. We are the only registered diaper bank in in East Tennessee. And what we do is have case managers come to us from all different walks of life. What we believe is that allowing them to come to us, pick up these items, these essential items, and take to their clients gives them more time to spend in direct services with their clients. So we're letting people that have been professionally trained do job training and parenting classes and get access to resources. And it's hard to connect people with parenting classes to get them access for resources when they have a baby that doesn't have a dry diaper. So we know that meeting those essential needs and providing space in that gap and closing that gap is so important. So what that looks like in real life is that last week I had a case manager say, "Hey, Melissa, I need some clothes for an 18-month-old, but it's June and I need winter clothes." I said, "Okay, we can do that. We have winter clothes." And I said, "Can I ask why? Because sometimes I think about my own child, and I'm like, you don't need winter clothes right now." And she said, "It's really cold in the shelter." So of course, I'm like, "Okay, what do you need? What do you need? Do you need extra blankets? We've got them. You need fleece onesies? We've got those too." The week before, a case manager from the hospital called and said, "I have a mom who's 29 years old and was going to give her baby up for adoption to a family member because she also has a 15-year-old that she had just felt like she had climbed out of the trenches with, put herself through school, and then found herself pregnant this time. When she gave birth, she said, 'This is my baby and I'm going to care for her, but I came here with no car seat, I have no pack and play at home, and I have nothing for this little girl.' So I met the nurse at night. She was going to be on shift the next day. We got her all the things, including headbands and things that a mom giving their child, would empower her to say, 'Hey, you've made the right decision.'" We serve refugee moms and teen moms, all of our agencies, social service agencies, a lot that maybe you're familiar with, Head Start and Helen Ross McNabb. We want all children, no matter their race, their gender, whether they have two moms, whether they're being served by their grandparents, to be dry and healthy, and we want to empower their caregivers so that they are out of the position that they're in. Because we know empowered parents are going to create empowered kids, and that's going to help us all. Tess and I talk a lot about how blessed we've been, but also recognize kind of the port of privilege that we've stood from. I was not a teen mother, although unwed. I do not have an addiction problem. I have an incredibly supportive partner who is an amazing father and a pretty good husband. He's probably watching. So, I have a tribe. I had a baby shower. I have a community of friends that have loved on me and loved on my children. And I know that pandemic parenting has been the hardest thing I have ever done. The stats are that 1 in 3 children or 1 in 3 families have to decide between food or diapers, and most people don't know that WIC or SNAP or no government funds will pay for diapers. So diapers along with period supplies are considered a luxury. Right. So we need your help. We need your dollars. It's hard to get people to donate new car seats. We always want to make sure, although we're not Amazon, we sure try to be for these case managers. We need your volunteer hours, and we need you to advocate for us, whether that's sharing a post online, so that more people know what we're dealing with. I don't know if you're like me and you've kind of sat in that point of privilege and you've looked at the diaper prices or the formula as it's dripping off the shelves and just kind of cringed, and then you bought it and kept going on. Maybe you're sitting here right now and you're saying, I've been there, and I've had to keep my kid in a soiled diaper for way longer than I knew was necessary. I don't know a lot about you, and I don't know if you had ever heard of Helping Mamas before now, but I know this. I know that I personally believe in the gospel of love. I know that there is no way that riding on a donkey at 9 months pregnant was easy, right? And I know that meeting this need that we have in Knoxville and in our surrounding counties, we're up to about 22 counties, will be easy. But what is easy is to love, and it's easy to help. And so we want to provide that space for you to do that. As alluded to earlier, we're past the point of thoughts and prayers being the only thing you can do, but you can put those thoughts and prayers into action. So we have so many ways to help. And we're a grassroots, local, 2 mamas out there really trying to make a difference and to put a dent in the problem. And I want to thank you guys so very much for giving us this time, the offering, and I hope to see you at our warehouse or connecting with us on social media so that we can do this thing together. Thank you.
While the baskets are being passed around, I ask you to hold in your mind, what you give, you get 10 times over. This is a Yoruba proverb. Get ready, hold on to your seats. It's going to be different. We've already started different with having the offertory first. The opening words are really, I'm trying to create and show you a side of me that wasn't always present during the 3 years. I came from out of a Quaker kind of background, among other things, but it's the quietness, the peace. And so generally you wait for people, if they feel moved, to say something. I don't think that will happen here, but if it does, hallelujah. But I will be reading different things, and hopefully the music will give you time to sit still and to think about what I said or what it brings to mind for you. So, but before I do that, there's a lot to pack in today. I want you all to welcome the people who joined our church during the pandemic. Christine Book, and I just saw her collecting money. There she is. Carol Villevard, who works always in the garden. Rhiannon Duce, Soraya Cooper, Lynn Hickson, do you remember? Hi. And Angela Hoffman, who's been our just lifeline for the COVID, and her husband and son. And so when you get a chance, know that these are new members, and they've been very active. And I almost forgot one, and so she gets to hit me afterwards. Rose. Rose is up front. So we're going to start our quiet kind of meditative service. You'll see different readings in the program, but the programs are only a suggestion. It's like, oh, well. During the week I was away, a lot of things happened, and I felt moved to change things, even though some of the readings were apt. But this one was by Marge Piercy, who wrote this in the 1980s about the right to life. One of the sayings in our country, let me start with this one, and then I'll go to that one. One of the sayings in our country is Ubuntu, the essence of being human. Ubuntu speaks particularly about the fact that you can't exist as a human being in isolation. It speaks about our interconnectedness. You can't be human all by yourself. You have to be known for your generosity. We think of ourselves too frequently as just individuals, separated from one another, whereas you are connected, and what you do affects the whole world. And when you do well, it spreads out for the whole humanity. So, keep that in mind, and let's start our service. March Piercy is an activist, a poet, and I think a revolutionary writer who sees into the future. And I believe in God, and I'm going to tell you, the Spirit moves because the mamas, helping mamas, fits into this next reading. We are all born of women. In the rose of the womb, we suckle our mother's blood, and every baby born has a right to love, like a seedling needs the sun. Every baby born unloved, unwanted, is a bill that comes due in 20 years. Interest and anger that must find a target, a pain that will beget pain. A decade downstream, a child screams, a woman falls, a synagogue is torched, a firing squad is summoned, a button is pushed, and the world burns.
Today is a very sad day for me because this is the last Sunday morning. I will share this pulpit with the Reverend Jametta Alston, but it's also a day when she would want us to experience another emotion, and that emotion would be joy. And we do have a lot of joy this morning. Jametta has come back from the wedding of her daughter, which went without a hitch. Yeah, there we go. So lots of joy this week. I'll say more about Jametta, but let me raise some other joys and concerns first. Today we are mindful of everyone who is spending time in the hospital, including Chance Adams and his parents Trish and Ben. And today we are mindful of the upcoming hospital stay We're mindful of everyone who is anticipating an upcoming hospital stay, including Chris Brown, who is being treated for cancer, and his wife, Suzanne Brown, who is supportive of him. If you've ever met Chris and Suzanne in the coffee hour, you might, and you made just a quick assessment, you might think that they were the least likely people to love Metallica, and you would be wrong, because they're very much into Metallica and heavy metal. So, Chris, if you are watching today, we want you to have a speedy recovery. Nothing else matters. Today, we are mindful of everyone who cannot be present with us in person because of COVID, and we've had some volunteers who weren't able to do things, and people have stepped in for them. But also those undergoing chemotherapy or living with an organ transplant or otherwise immunocompromised. Those recovering from a major health crisis who want privacy in a time of healing and a time to adjust to the insights of becoming differently abled. Our love is bigger than this building. Our ministry is larger than this room. Today, we are mindful that for most of the history of this country, the Supreme Court has been made up of a majority of men. And I think it's a good day to commit ourselves to the goal of a day in the future when the majority of the people on the Supreme Court will be women. So let's work together for that goal. Let's pray with our actions. Let's pray with our votes. And today, let me say some words about Jametta Alston. We do say joy, but today we can also say sad. We can say joy. Sad. Joy. Mixed emotions today. At our congregational meeting, I mentioned many of your institutional accomplishments, like inspiring the creation of our food pantry, reinvigorating and educating us and inspiring us to our anti-racism and anti-oppression work, and ministering to shut-ins in a time when everyone was a shut-in, creating a cornucopia of small group meditations, check-in groups, and representing us at Pride Fest and Knox Justice and other public ministry events. But today, I want to simply say thank you for being Jametta. Thank you for making us laugh in staff meetings, even when it wasn't entirely appropriate. Thank you for your insights that have helped us grow. Thank you for the care you have offered to foster children here in our community. Thank you for your love of Japanese anime and Korean movies. Thank you for the joy you bring into this room every Sunday morning and every room. Thank you for meeting us more than half the way. Meeting us more, coming from the United Church of Christ, coming to the UU, meeting us more than half the way. Thank you for your anger over injustice and your calm in a crisis. Thank you for reminding us that pastoral care is about feeding the body and not just the spirit. And thank you for reminding us that meaningful ministry can happen in a driveway, or on a patio, or in a Zoom meeting, or by video conference on a phone. Thank you for the many different ways, a coffee shop, or this room on Sunday morning. There are many ways ministry can take form. Thank you for your no-nonsense attitude toward human sexuality that brought condoms to our bathrooms, but is so more important in so many other ways, educating our children. Thanks for working for the oneness of the human family, that oneness that is known by so many different names. And one of those names is communion. And therefore, knowing that we will feel blue after you're gone, and because blue is such a prominent color in this sanctuary, on behalf of the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church, I present you this stole. Don't take off the one you've got, because I know the story. And that is the right choice for today. But take this one with you wherever you go, knowing that whatever forms your ministry takes, whatever forms they may be, the love and support and encouragement of this congregation go with you. So I'll just raise my hand. The next present is actually a fake. We've got the real one coming on the way, and it'll look nicer, but you have coming up a framed photograph of the first word that appears on the wall of this church: joy. It'll look better than that. So let us take a moment for silent meditation. Let us take a moment to rest in that wisdom that is deeper than any that can be found in a courtroom or a classroom or in any commentary made by anyone. Let us rest in that wisdom that has been placed into our minds and written into our hearts. The law above all human law, the law of love. Let us rest in that love. Let us rest in that love that is deeper than hate. Let us rest in that joy that is deeper than all sadness. Let us rest in that hope that is deeper than all despair. Let us take a moment in silence to rest. Amen.
I'm not going to cry. As I mentioned before, Ubuntu is a concept that the profound sense that we are human only through the humanity of others. That if we accomplished anything in this world, it will be in equal measure be due to the work and the achievement of others. Galatians 5:13 through 14. For dear sisters and brothers, you have been given freedom. not freedom to do wrong, but freedom to love and serve each other. For the whole law can be summed up in one command: love others as you love yourself. This service was about, for me, the meditation, my thoughts for this whole week and so before, was that we work collectively, we love collectively, we do collectively, and we work for each other, because I am not human if you are not human. If I don't treat you well, then I am less than human. And too often we see other people as human, but other people we disrespect. As my closing words, there's been a lot of thought about three things. One, how I love this congregation. Two, how it made me grow. Even though I didn't want to, it made me grow. And three, how racism destroys a community. And I would be amiss by not talking about racism a little bit, because it is such a fullness of it's almost an embodiment. It lives, it's a spirit, and as much as we hate it, it's there. And collectively, we have to change it. Collectively, oh, do you have to go? You know, it's funny, I watched the little boy, her brother, grow up to 3, and now the little one, and it's like, the little one is getting to be part of it. But I ask you to really meditate every day, every moment. What does it mean to love others as you love yourself? There are times I've been met in this congregation with, they're called microaggressions, but what happens is that a person refuses to look at you, refuses to talk to you. And you think, well, is something wrong with me? Is something wrong with them? Maybe, maybe they're autistic, I don't know. But what happens is that it goes to the heart of what is this congregation? Because that person is part of you, part of us. And so when I'm rejected by that person, I feel I'm rejected by all. And it's not true. It's like, okay, your ego, put it to bed, That person doesn't mean that much, but they do mean that much. Every time you look down on someone who's not a professor, who's not a teacher, who's not a lawyer, you look down on yourself. You say to that person or people, you're not as good as I am. And that has nothing to do with race, color. It has everything to do with humanity. You may think, oh, well, I don't have a problem with so-and-so, and someone might agree with you, but when so-and-so has done a racist act, you should have a problem with them. It doesn't mean you can't like them. It means you can't love them, but you need to have a problem with them, because that's how insidious racism is. Too often we excuse it by saying, oh well, really, oh well. But it requires more of an act. It requires you to demand that that person, that group, those people not be that way, because you won't love them. And really, to be honest, you'll still love them, but you'll be going, what is wrong with them? And the second point I said, other than let's put the racism aside, I learned a lot from you. I was trained in the seminary. I read. It was Bible and Bible only. It was my Christianity. I was so superior in it until I came down here. Then I was like, this is Christianity? I met people that I never knew who could turn the Bible into a weapon of hate. And that's not true of every person I met, but I was stunned that they honestly believed you had to hate gay people. You had to hate transgender people. You had to hate all types of people. And I was like, but the Bible doesn't say this. And they would hold on tight to it. And in fact, coming home on the plane, and I knew I was back in Tennessee then, but coming home on the plane, the man said, well, we got that law passed. I mean, I don't know why people don't understand we're trying to save human beings. And I so badly wanted to say, that's not true. But I thought, all right, Jametta, you're on a plane, you have a cane, and you don't want the people sitting behind you constantly kicking your chair. But I understood that Christianity had to mean something different. It had to mean something new for me. And I started calling myself a follower of Jesus because I was embarrassed. But then again, I thought, I'm going to claim my Christianity and say boldly, I support LGBTQ, I support abortion, I support voters' rights, I support everything that means equality and equalness, that we all are human. That's what I chose to do with my Christianity. And I learned so much about Hinduism, about, thank you for correcting me. I learned so much about Buddhism. I learned how those readings dovetailed with the Christianity I had grown up with. And that, in the end, there is a holiness in all of us. And it doesn't matter what language, what denomination, what faith, all that matters is that when you love all. And all become you. So, let my closing words be that you work together, that you understand that racism is insidious, and that you not be defensive if someone calls you on it. And that it is all right if you make a mistake or stumble. In no matter what you do, you love, and you hold joy. No matter what, no matter how deep of despair, how sad, because without joy, you won't make it to the next day. And one more thing, I promise I'll stop talking. When I had my stroke, I despaired of ever standing behind a pulpit again. I despaired that I would ever walk again. I asked God, how could you do this to me? And I wept. And I wept. I maybe wept another time, but I won't talk about that. But the bottom line is that you gave me courage. Never doubt that. Never doubt that. And I have to look to one person in particular. I can thank Chloe for fussing at me. I can thank people for giving me hugs and telling me it's okay. But I'm going to thank Lillian. I don't think you know how much I was intimidated by you and how much I admired you, your power, your energy. And I thought, if I can stand in this pulpit and have her be okay with me, I could be okay. It means I have worked hard. And I worked hard because I felt, now this is sad that you're looking to someone outside of you, but I knew her standards were high. And I knew if I stood here and I was not satisfactory, I would hear about it. One way or the other, I would hear about it. And so I want to thank you all for the love you gave me, for the support you gave me that allowed me to come back a little bit mumbled and kind of stuttering, and I still have trouble with S's, but I stand here confident that I can go somewhere else, which I don't plan to, but I can at least be a chaplain. I can still minister to people because I couldn't have done it without you, without your support, without your love. And I know that Jesus, God, the higher being, whatever you want to call him, Buddha, I don't care what you call him. I don't care what you call her. I don't care what you call them. I came to Tennessee for a reason. And each step of the way, there were heartaches, sadness, pain, but I knew it was right to be here. And now it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye. I wear the star because it was given to me by Chris. It was given to him to help him through, if I'm not mistaken, the shooting. This means a lot to me, to know that it passed down, and to know that I'm telling you all, love as you are loved. Love the other person as you want to be loved. Love everything, touch everything, and carry your joy with you. And if you lose your joy, find someone else to help you have it back. Okay? Support each other, love each other, be there for each other. And when the Spirit moves you, dance.
Join us for a special reception in the fellowship hall to celebrate Jametta's ministry. As our last act of worship, I invite you to turn and greet your neighbors.
Okay, but here we show you what it is. Because it's not. This song is Kosi Sigalele. And it's you know, I'm sorry, say it. It was Zulu. Okay. Here's what I know about it. I mean, you have that background. So here's what I hum. And I also know this one. I've sung both of them in Zulu. Because, anyway, I have sung both of them. But that's the one. Isn't it just wonderful? Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. That's great. Well, I learned this song from a woman who just moved here from South Africa. And it was she Zulu? She was not Zulu. She's English, British. Oh, okay. And she they would know right there. Yeah. And so